So I want to preface this by saying that everybody is different in how quickly they respond to naltrexone. Some people notice something from day one, others it takes a few months to notice a difference. For me personally, I would say I noticed a difference within the first few times of taking the medication naltrexone. I wasn't drinking as much and I was drinking more slowly. Those were a couple of the things that I noticed from the beginning. Within the first week on the treatment, I had my first alcohol-free day. It wasn't the most comfortable thing in the world, but typically I was someone who never had an alcohol-free day, and if and when I did, it was because I was really, really hungover and like sick and throwing up, or because I was just like forcing it and white knuckling it and guilting myself for drinking too much, and so I would like force myself not to drink. But with the Sinclair method, after my first week on the treatment, I had an alcohol-free day that was uncomfortable, but it wasn't white knuckled. Like I just didn't have this strong desire to drink. And when that happened, I just knew like something was different and that this treatment was working. There's so many things I could say to make sure you're set up for success as you start this treatment. You want to make sure you have the correct dosing, the correct timing, that you're doing things to set yourself up for success when you drink on it, like eating a meal, mindfully drinking, making sure you're waiting long enough for the medication to sink in. Lots of little things to do to really optimize the treatment. But once you have that mastered, it's also important then to start paying attention to any small changes that you notice. Sometimes people expect immediate results with this treatment or like it's going to be a light bulb moment. But for most of us, the changes that we see are gradual, they're subtle, but they're continuous. But they can be so subtle to the point where I've had so many clients reach out to me and say, nothing's changing. I've been on the medication for a few months, nothing's changing. But when we actually meet and talk about it, there's actually a lot of changes that they are experiencing. They just weren't looking out for them because they were expecting like an immediate overnight change. So pay attention to the small, subtle changes that you're seeing over time, recognizing that those add up. And again, you want to make sure you're doing the protocol correctly. You're optimized to be set up for success. And then as you progress further on the treatment, that you really are working to meet the medication halfway and gradually work to change your mindset around alcohol, habits, coping skills, the emotional ties, the historical ties and memories we have to alcohol. Something I really learned as I was going through this treatment is really how complex my relationship with alcohol was. I remember when I first learned about naltrexone, I was like, oh great, there's a pill that's going to help me drink less. Like I just figured that was all that I needed. But a few months into the treatment, I realized how complex my relationship with alcohol was and how it touched every area of my life. As a daily drinker for 10 years, everything and anything was a trigger for me to drink. Any free moment I had when I wasn't working and I was able to, I was drinking. And so I really had to rediscover who I was with this different relationship with alcohol. How was I going to spend my evenings? How was I going to spend my weekends? How was I going to cope when things were stressful? What was I going to do when I was bored? And all of this became much, much more doable with naltrexone because over time naltrexone just quieted the urge to drink and gave me more control when I did drink. But I still had to, as I said, meet the medication halfway to rebuild my life from a place of not being a chronic daily heavy drinker. So hang in there, give this treatment time to work, pay attention to the small changes that you are seeing, recognizing that those are signs of success, and make sure that you're set up and doing the treatment protocol correctly, that you have your dose correct, that you're fully compliant with the protocol, that you know what to expect, that you've talked to your doctor about redosing if that's applicable to you, that you understand the types of alcoholic beverages that are best for the treatment, and just how to optimize it and set yourself up for success, and then give it time. Time is your friend with this treatment. If you want to learn more about it or get started or get supported, check out the link in my profile or head to thrivealcoholrecovery.com. Thank you.